We should be. We're on. We're on the Facebook. That's so happy. Such a happy day. I didn't bake a cake or anything, but
For our
I
yes.
figured it would be. I mean, well, what does it take to do 50 daily episodes or something like this? What would you say it takes for you? That would be my question. There's my question to you.
Honestly, I would say just do it. And actually, today I write a newsletter, and the article that I wrote is just do it.
Just
I
do
think
it.
it's very easy once you start. I
Yeah.
think the most difficult is when you don't start something and you keep thinking
Oh,
about it.
that's
You
so
don't take
good. Yeah.
action.
When you don't
You don't
start
take
something.
action.
Yeah. If you,
Once you take action, and that works for everything in life, you
that
just
sort of
need
that
to
sort of
keep
just tips
going.
it. That tips it. Okay. Boom.
Yeah.
And I like when you said, well, let's do this like a daily Facebook Live or podcast or whatever. I'm like, are you serious? Because
Did
I
I
don't
came up
have
with
yeah.
it?
When you asked about that, right? And when we are talking and said, well, I have an idea. Let's do this. And
No.
uh, for me, it's like, well, okay, if someone wants to do that, I've done crazy shit like that many times in my life, and so why not? Why not? And so if somebody wants to jump along for in the creative process, if we're not sure what we're creating, but we're creating something and we're committed to showing up for it every day, and every day we show up and we practice it, it gets better and better.
Yes, and
Yeah.
like I said last time, it's conversations that transform. So I think
Yeah.
it's good to come. We come without an agenda. We don't have any hidden
Yeah.
agenda,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I love that. And but during our conversations, we've been able to create so much. A lot of things, a lot of projects were
Yep.
born
Yep. Yep.
after our conversation here. So
Yeah.
everything that connects, that invites a deeper thinking. I think it's great. It's a great opportunity for creation.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Do you have a process that you go through? Because I was thinking about this morning with doing something like this. For me, it's all about the process. And I remember like a couple of years ago, I did a daily vlog and I went 173 days, but I had a process that I had dialed in, and I just made it part of my life. So is there a process for you that?
I wish I had more. I don't know. Let me rephrase that. I'm not sure I wish I had, because if I really wish, I would have been into action. So there is something in my mind, see how it works now. Because
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's how it works. We believe things. I believe that it's hard for me to put in place processes. But
Uh,
actually, for the things that are important for me, I have natural processes. That's what I'm
right,
realizing.
right. That's a really good thing. If you have the incentive to do it, then the process is not a big deal. You
Yes.
just,
And
yeah,
what I realized, that really, to answer your question, is that it just fits into my day. I don't have to plan it. I don't have to put it on the calendar. It's like I don't use I just wake up naturally. I don't use an alarm,
well,
I
that's
wake.
some crazy stuff right there.
Yeah, I don't use an alarm. And it's funny because I remember when I was little, my mom, I would just go to her and say, "Can you wake me up tomorrow at 6:30 or 5:45, or depending on whether I had an exam, whether I had to travel somewhere." And
Mhm.
my mom would always come and wake me up at the time I asked her. And I just noticed that I do the same now with Isaiah. He will be like, "Mom," he used to have his phone to wake him up, but
Uh,
with that, the phone doesn't spend the night in the room with him
oh,
anymore.
so it was a distraction too. That's something that a
It's a lot
lot of
of
us
things.
as
I think we need
adults
a
could
separate
consider.
conversation for the phone. But overall, I just realized that I do the same thing. He says, "Mom,
Yeah,
wake me up at 6." I'll go and wake him up at 6, and I don't need an alarm. I just wake up the time I
yeah,
decide to wake up. So the things
yeah.
that work, I think we just find our natural way of putting it in our day.
I
So I
like
don't
it.
have
Yeah, I
a
like that.
process for our calls. I just know that it's part of my day. It's part of my routine, like brushing my teeth, showering, getting
Yeah,
dressed.
yeah,
So you and I
yeah,
connect, and we find
yeah.
the time that works, and we make it work.
And I love that we do that. I love that we're committed to doing that every day.
Well,
Yeah.
it's good for us. It's work for us. But for example, Steve Shaw, I don't know if Steve is watching us, but yesterday he asked me if we had a set time because I think he wanted to be here with us. And I said, we are on 2 different time zones. That's the first thing.
Yeah, and we have
And the
different
second,
schedules, and
yeah, and I do have 3 young kids, and I, run my life around their schedules. And so I said, we just make it work. So the downside of it is that maybe he's not here live, but he will have it. He know that if he goes on our pages, the recording will be there.
Yeah,
So that's our promise.
That's is kind of a downside though. If you don't have a set time, then sometimes people aren't quite sure what to expect, and they can't be necessarily waiting around all day for, oh, are we going to go live or whatever it is. But yeah,
it depends on our content. You and I, our content, it's just like it's conversations. Okay, so people are listening to our conversation, whether they're watching it live or later. I think it doesn't diminish its value.
Oh, I don't think so either.
Yeah. But we do sometimes they read comments that you and I read and use when we talk. But overall, it's a conversation, and I hope it's conversation that transforms, because that's really the end goal of it, to transform, to kind of to add some kind of value to our way of thinking.
Right, exactly.
How about you? So is this, you're somebody has processes and disciplines.
Yeah, I have processes for everything, pretty much. But it's like you said, it's the processes that I establish. Usually, I don't write down chapter and verse. This is the procedure. It's just I fall into it because it's something that's important to me. So, so like with this, the process here for me is I decided to record on we had trouble recording and figuring out how that would work doing just phones. So I decided that I would record in my living room with the studio space and the green screen. So really, I just have to make sure that the microphone and everything set up, and I'll usually, if I'm thinking good about it, I will restart the computer.
Okay.
So there's a minimum of glitches, and then I actually have my windows. I don't know if you can go over there. You can see the curtains are drawn.
Yes.
Because the light affects the studio space. So I have a process for setting that up, and then after we're done, my process is, if I remember, I'll go and tag us in the post, right? And think of a catchy title for some of the wonderful things we talked about.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but trying to say, okay, well, this is what we talked about, and then
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's fun, I don't know if I expect or not, but what I want to say is that we are transformed with every conversation, whether it's you and our conversation or the conversation I have with the cashier, at
that's so good.
Trader Joe's, or I think it's new now, the way I look at life. It's really I learn at every, conversation, with every conversation, every interaction. So it's just exciting. And the nice thing is, because again, I don't have an agenda. I don't have a hidden plan or objective. It does flow very easily.
It's like we're just creating like you said, creating transformative conversations.
Yes, meaningful. It means
meaningful
really stopping. Because when we are in a rush, we miss so many things, and that has been a switch in my thinking, in my mindset. When I go to people without expecting anything in return, but just knowing that it's just about unconditional love. I love them anyway. So it's easy. And I think what creates tension and challenge in relationships and all of that is the expectation, what we expect. I told you about the upsets, and that literally transforms my life, and I make them disappear now, the upsets, because the cause of upsets, like, unthwarted intention, miscommunication, or an expectation that has not been communicated as well. So
Yeah.
it all happens in my head, and I expect the other
Expectation
person
is like the death of peace.
of peace.
Yeah,
Shakespeare
the
said
death.
it.
Yeah,
The root
yeah,
cause for all heartaches.
yeah, yeah,
It takes away peace. It gives heartaches. It
yeah.
creates war. Everything. So
Yeah,
how about
yeah,
we just speak to one another
yeah,
clearly?
yeah.
No.
We do have a couple people. I have the window over here. We do have a couple people watching. If you guys have questions,
Yes.
put
You
your
can ask
questions in the comments,
anything.
and we'll ask anything you want. We may answer it
Yes.
or may not. Thanks, Steve.
Yesterday.
Steve says happy 50th.
Hey, thank
So
you,
thanks,
Steve.
Steve.
Do you have a question for us
Yeah, if you have a question for us, let us know about that. Otherwise, I'll keep blathering. We'll keep blathering on about. We're
about,
not
yeah.
blathering. This is a meaningful conversation. I was going to ask you. Speaking of expectations, have you ever come to our daily live expecting or wanting to talk about something in particular, or is it just that when we get on, we just start to talk and then we just kind of notice where it leads?
It goes both ways.
Uh-huh.
When I'm working during the day and then I have ideas or I come through something wonderful, I want to share everything all the time because the things that you really love, you want to share them. When I have, light bulbs moment or when I have
Yeah.
fun, not fun
Yeah.
experience, I want to share it. So I have like 5, 6, 10 ideas I want to run through you. But what happens most of the time is it's just natural. Some things
Yes. Yeah.
come up, and sometimes, it's just the way again,
Okay.
unplanned.
Steve Hardison has a couple of questions. So
Yeah.
these are silly, but I like them. So when was the War of 1812?
When was the war at 1812? 1812.
It was 1812. Did Adam have a belly button?
Adam? Oh, because he was
He
the
was
way
the
he was
first.
connected
Yeah.
to his mom. That's a good question.
Yeah. Yeah,
I would assume that if he
and then
was
Steve
with
also
one.
he also asked which came first, the chicken or the egg. And I remember something he said. I can't remember where exactly, but are you guys single and available?
It's so funny.
But
Okay, answer
he
that,
said
James. Are you
which came
single and
first, the chicken
available?
or the egg? It doesn't matter. I'll eat them both. Right. But it's like I think the context of that is which comes first, your thought or your being. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know.
Your consciousness. But to answer his last question, are we single and available? I am separated. I going through divorce,
Yeah.
certainly, and I am looking for my ideal partner. Yes,
Yeah.
but I
And
have a
man,
long list. That's hard.
yeah. I
I might never
remember
find him.
we talked about this a while. I can't remember if we talked about it on in one of these episodes, but I remember seeing that you put out a post saying who your ideal partner would be.
That was long, that
Yeah.
was in a specific group. I wouldn't post that on my regular page first because I think our group is a safe place and it was a challenge that I took. But overall, I have those are expectations. Thinking about it, putting out a list of the things that I want in a person is expectations. And I think it's not
Yeah.
that great,
Yeah.
right? So if I have one word, 3 words, it's somebody who consciously creates himself.
Yeah.
That's it.
There you go.
I think that will encompass everything else.
But you're looking at somebody who does that. So Steve has also Jane. For me, am I single? I'm single. I'm available. I'm you know
Steve is so funny.
I'm
Steve, what
fully
I
in love with myself and my life. So whoever
exactly.
wants to come along.
Again, so James, if I may, you're not consciously creating right now. You're like whoever wants to come along. If you want something, you go for
Oh,
it.
okay. That's okay.
Usually, I think
That's
that's that would be my advice to you as a woman.
so well, this would be a good question for us to talk about. I mean, 50 is a milestone. It's since we're doing it every day, this is a little less than 2 months, right? Or about 2 months. No, actually, a little more than 2 months.
Okay, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. But what does the future hold for
I
us
mean,
as far as creating this?
you and I are both working, and I don't want to talk about it here, but we're working on something separately for our,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it's growing. And so this might evolve to, into a podcast, or, the things we're creating offline, maybe we can bring some of it in
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
But again, for now, it's just conversation that transform, because it's all
Yeah.
about conversations.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see where it leads. Like if there's an agreement between two people that we're going to create something together and we're going to do this on a daily basis. So it's interesting to see what happens, what that looks like, or not to see what happens. It's interesting to imagine that almost any possibility is
Yes.
embedded
And
in
I
that.
think in this case, we haven't, we don't have it's open to possibilities. We're creating as we go.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't come up with a project to say, okay, we're going to do this, to do this, to do that. We agreed in this just to let it grow organically.
Right. Yeah. Just let it flow. Just let the connection. How did this? So Steve Shaw, two Steves
Hey,
are watching us
Steve.
right now. So Steve Hardison said, "I'm already married." I gotta say that Steve is.
He's very handsome.
He's very handsome.
Yes, Steve. If you weren't married and if we didn't love Amy, I think you could be my ideal partner.
So Steve Shaw anyway asked, "How did this begin?" I think we would. So we connected. I don't remember if it was through the Ultimate Facebook group page Connection
That's the
Bingo,
only
or
way
if
we could connect.
or if we just one of us reached out. But anyway, we connected and we
You
had a
reach
conversation.
out to connect, like to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because in the group, we do have conversations with different people. So you reach out one day, you said, we'd love to have a conversation with you.
Yeah. Hey, Tanya's here too. Tanya says,
"Hey,
wow,
Tanya.
Great job, both of you. I love how you demonstrate commitment. Yes, love and growth ooh, that's so good. Love and growth in conversations.
Thank you.
And Steve says, I love you, Queen Sabelle.
Oh, thank you. I love you too, Steve. And I love Amy too.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Steve Shaw's question about what we did. So we connected that one time and we had about a 3-hour conversation. And then it was a couple of months later, I think we connected again. And during the course of that conversation, I think it was your idea, actually.
No, because I remember saying, I don't know if I want to appear online with you since I am married. So it can be my idea.
Oh, so it was my idea.
Yes.
Wow.
That's and again, I had considerations. I was like, I don't know, I'm still married and I don't want to, be online with somebody who is not my partner or my husband. And I was like, that's ridiculous. You're a friend, and we have we connected through books and knowledge. And
we have a lot of common ground in terms of our intellectual pursuits and
that we just love
our life and our life experience too.
Yeah, because you divorced after 18 or 19 years.
Yeah, I was married for 18. Yeah, I think 18 years. Yeah, and divorced about 6 years ago. So,
and
so I'm a little further along in the post, that world. Yeah. So I guess if it was me, I'm gonna have to go back and reconstruct what I said that made it happen.
It was definitely you. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. It's just that we connected. We have great conversations, and we decided to bring them to the world, because there are conversations that transform you and I, and we just wanted to be generous and be out there, because you can't create anything if you're not connecting to people, if you're hidden. So we were like, this is us. And I think we have that in common, that we are open books. We don't have anything to hide. Yeah. And that we want to grow in authenticity. So just to be out there and to discuss openly. Yeah. This is who we are.
Yep. Yeah, that's perfect. All right. So I don't know if there are any other questions. We went over time like we always do.
We did, as usual. Okay, this is the 50th. People are gonna.
This is 50th, 51. People will watch this for years and years.
But it has been fun. I want to thank you, James, because it has been fun to.
I want to thank you too. It's
and sit.
It's truly been a transformative experience, just getting to know you on a deeper level. It's fabulous. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. I think we had
Yeah.
we had a couple people join live and a couple of
Awesome.
comments. So that was good. So
And we'll be here tomorrow for number 51.
yes, yes, we will be. All right. Steve said,
Have a wonderful
loving
day. Thanks
everything
again.
about you too. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Have a beautiful, blessed morning or afternoon or whatever it is, wherever you are. See ya. Mwah.